There is a strange habit you may have carried for years without ever noticing it. Even when something good begins, part of you prepares for it to end. You receive an opportunity, but before you can feel excited, your mind begins searching for everything that could go wrong. Someone enters your life, and instead of allowing yourself to experience the connection, you begin wondering when they will lose interest. You start a project, but before it has enough time to grow, you are already imagining failure. You finally have a peaceful day, but your body does not know how to trust it. So you wait. You wait for the problem. You wait for the disappointment. You wait for life to prove that your fear was right all along. And perhaps no one has ever told you this before. Expecting something to go wrong is also a decision. It may not feel like a decision. It may feel like caution. It may feel like intelligence. It may feel like you are protecting yourself from being disappointed again. But every time you prepare for failure before anything has happened, you are quietly choosing the future you expect to experience. Today, we are going to interrupt that choice, not through empty optimism, not by pretending difficult things never happen, not by forcing yourself to smile while fear is still controlling your inner world. We are going to look at the invisible place where your life begins to change. The moment you stop waiting for reality to reassure you and decide that somehow everything will work out. Stay until the end, because I will guide you through a simple 3-part practice. It will help you recognize the future you have been unconsciously expecting, choose a new internal direction, and create the first piece of evidence that your life is already beginning to move. But before we reach that moment, you need to see something about yourself. Something so simple that most people overlook it for their entire lives. You may not be waiting for what you want. You may be waiting for permission to become the person capable of receiving it. Think about something you deeply desire. Perhaps it is financial freedom, a different career, a loving relationship, a peaceful home, a healthier body, a life in which you wake up without the familiar weight in your chest. Now notice what your mind immediately places between you and that life. You need more money first. You need to know the right people. You need to become more confident. You need someone to choose you. You need the perfect opportunity. You need to heal completely. You need to know exactly how everything will happen. The desire appears. Then the condition appears, and the condition becomes a gate. You stand on one side of it. Your desired life remains on the other. So you wait. You wait for money before you allow yourself to feel abundant. You wait for love before you allow yourself to feel worthy. You wait for success before you trust yourself. You wait for certainty before you take action. But what if the order has been reversed? What if confidence does not always arrive before the step? What if confidence is created by taking the step? What if worthiness does not come from being chosen? What if you begin experiencing different relationships only after you stop using another person's attention as proof of your value? What if prosperity does not begin when a large amount of money appears? What if it begins when you stop interpreting every temporary difficulty as evidence that scarcity is your permanent identity? You have been taught to believe the outside must change first, then you will be allowed to change inside, but life often moves in the opposite direction. The inner position changes, your perception changes, your decisions change, your standards change, your actions change. And then gradually, the world around you begins reflecting the person you are becoming. This does not mean every thought instantly creates an event. It does not mean you are responsible for every painful circumstance you have experienced. It means the state you repeatedly return to influences what you notice, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you avoid, and what you believe is possible. And all of those things shape a life. Perhaps you have experienced this without understanding it. There was a day when you became tired of accepting something, not simply annoyed, not temporarily emotional. You were finished. Something inside you said, no more. Maybe you finally left a relationship that had been diminishing you. Maybe you stopped begging someone to see your value. Maybe you decided to begin again after years of postponing your own life. Maybe you applied for something even though you felt unprepared. Maybe you looked at yourself in the mirror and realized you could no longer continue speaking to yourself with cruelty. The circumstances had not changed yet, but you had. And once you changed, the same circumstances could no longer hold the same power over you. That is what a real decision does. It does not immediately rearrange every visible detail. First, it rearranges your relationship with those details. A closed door stops meaning that you are unworthy. A delay stops meaning that you have been forgotten. A difficult month stops meaning that your entire future is collapsing. A rejection stops becoming a definition of who you are. The event remains an event. You stop turning it into an identity. There are two ways to experience an uncertain moment. The first is to stand beneath it. You look at what is happening and allow it to announce who you are. Sales fall, and you become a failure. Someone leaves, and you become unlovable. A plan changes, and you become lost. You make a mistake, and you become incapable. The circumstance becomes enormous. You become small beneath it. The second way is to stand above the moment, not by ignoring it, not by escaping responsibility, but by remembering that a temporary result is information, not a final sentence. Sales fall. You study what needs to change. Someone leaves. You grieve, but you do not abandon your worth. A plan changes. You adjust the path without surrendering the destination. You make a mistake. You learn without transforming the mistake into your name. The same life can be experienced from two completely different internal positions. One position says, "This is happening to me." The other says, "This is happening, and I will decide what it becomes." That is the beginning of inner authority. And inner authority is quiet. It is not a loud performance of confidence. It does not need to tell everyone that something extraordinary is about to happen. It is the deep refusal to use today's circumstances as proof against tomorrow's possibilities. There is an ancient story about a man named Abraham. You do not need to approach this story religiously. For a moment, simply see it as a human story about vision, time, and conviction. Abraham carried the belief that his life would produce something far greater than what he could currently see, but the visible world seemed to contradict that possibility. Time continued passing. His body grew older. The evidence did not appear when expected. Imagine carrying a vision while everything around you seems to whisper that it is too late. Imagine feeling that something is meant for you while the calendar, your circumstances, and even logic appear to disagree. That is not only Abraham's story, it is a human story. It may be your story. Perhaps there was a time when you could see another life for yourself. Not clearly. Maybe only as a feeling, a quiet sense that you were meant to experience more than survival, more than repeating the same emotional patterns, more than waking up every day and doing what was expected while something inside you slowly disappeared. You felt it, but then time passed. Things did not change as quickly as you hoped, and slowly you began believing the delay more than the vision. You began saying that maybe it was not meant for you. Maybe you had missed your chance. Maybe this was simply who you were. Maybe other people could change, but you could not. This is what happens when the visible world becomes more powerful than your internal direction. You begin asking your current circumstances to predict your future. But your current circumstances are often the result of previous choices, previous beliefs, previous environments, and previous versions of you. Why would you ask the past to give you permission to create something new? There is a difference between fantasy and conviction. Fantasy refuses to look at reality. Conviction looks directly at reality and refuses to be imprisoned by it. Fantasy says you do not need to do anything because everything will magically arrive. Conviction says you may not know every step, but you will recognize and take the next one. Fantasy avoids responsibility. Conviction restores it. Fantasy wants the reward without transformation. Conviction understands that the person receiving a new life must often become different from the person who created the old one. This is why saying everything will work out is not enough. Anyone can say the words. The real question is what you do after saying them. Do you continue checking the outside world every few minutes for reassurance? Do you abandon the decision the moment you feel afraid? Do you return to the same behaviors that created the life you want to leave? Or do you begin acting as someone who believes there is a path, even before the entire path becomes visible? There is usually a small idea already waiting inside you. You may have noticed it while taking a shower, while walking, while lying awake late at night, while watching someone else live in a way that awakened something in you. It may have appeared quietly. Start the project, send the message, learn the skill, leave this environment, create something of your own, speak honestly, stop returning to the place that keeps hurting you, take care of your body, rest, begin again. And almost immediately, another voice arrived. That will not work. You are not ready. You do not have enough. People will judge you. What if you fail? So you ignored the idea. You called yourself confused. You said you did not know what to do. But perhaps you are not as lost as you think. Perhaps you know the next step. You simply do not yet trust the part of you that recognized it. Sometimes we say we need an answer when what we truly need is the courage to act on the answer we have already received. Not every inner impulse should be followed without reflection, but some ideas return again and again because they are pointing toward a life that wants to be lived through you. The problem is that you are waiting for those ideas to arrive with certainty. They often arrive as whispers. A seed does not look like a tree. A first sale does not look like financial freedom. One healthy boundary does not look like an entirely new relationship pattern. One conversation does not look like a new life. 1 hour spent learning does not look like mastery, but this is how transformation enters. Quietly. Small enough to be ignored. Most people do not fail because no opportunity appeared. They fail because the first form of the opportunity looked too small to respect. You want a complete transformation. Life gives you one decision. You want proof that you can build a successful business. Life gives you one person willing to buy. You want proof that you are becoming confident. Life gives you one moment in which you speak instead of remaining silent. You want proof that love can be different. Life gives you one interaction in which you are treated with kindness. But because it is not yet the final result, you dismiss it. You say it was only one sale, only one compliment, only one good day, only a small opportunity, probably a coincidence. And then you return to collecting evidence for the old identity. This is one of the most important things you can understand. A small piece of evidence can weaken a belief that has controlled you for years. A single moment of courage proves that you are not completely powerless. A single person respecting you proves that disrespect is not the only relationship available. A single opportunity proves that the path is not completely closed. A single day of peace proves that chaos is not your permanent state. The evidence does not need to be large. It needs to be recognized. Imagine a locked door. You may spend hours pushing against it. You may become exhausted. You may conclude that the door will never open. But perhaps it was never meant to be opened through force. Perhaps it requires a small key. The key looks insignificant compared to the door, but it contains the exact pattern required to open it. Small evidence works like that. It does not instantly give you the entire life you desire. It gives your mind a new possibility. And once your mind accepts that a possibility exists, you begin moving differently. Suppose you have always believed that you are incapable of creating income independently. Then one day, someone pays you for something you created. The amount may be small, but the amount is not the most important part. The most important part is that your old belief is no longer completely true. A door has opened. Suppose you have believed that no one truly values you. Then someone listens carefully. Someone remembers something you said. Someone treats your presence as important. You can dismiss it, or you can allow it to become evidence that your old story was incomplete. Suppose you believe you never follow through. Then you keep one promise to yourself. You wake up and complete the thing you said you would complete. It may look ordinary, but in that moment, your identity changes. You are no longer someone who has never kept a promise to yourself. That version of you no longer exists in exactly the same way. This is how a life changes, not always through one enormous leap, but through a sequence of small experiences that the old identity can no longer explain. The mistake is believing that rapid transformation means skipping every stage. Real acceleration does not mean jumping from the first step to the top. It means no longer spending years standing on the same step. You still move through the process, but you move without constantly returning to the beginning. You learn, you adjust, you continue. You stop making every setback mean that the entire path was wrong. This is why some people receive a large opportunity and quickly lose it. Their circumstances changed faster than their identity. They arrived somewhere their internal world was not prepared to sustain. But when you build gradually, each step becomes part of you. You do not merely possess the result. You become someone capable of creating it again. There is a difference between having money and becoming someone who understands how to create value. There is a difference between receiving attention and becoming someone who knows their worth without depending on attention. There is a difference between experiencing one peaceful day and becoming someone who no longer feeds unnecessary chaos. There is a difference between being given an opportunity and becoming someone prepared to recognize, use, and sustain opportunities. The new reality must become familiar inside you. Otherwise, the old one will continue calling you home. And the old reality can feel strangely comforting, even when it hurts. You know how to survive there. You know what to expect. You know which version of yourself to become. The new life contains uncertainty. It requires you to behave differently. It may require you to disappoint people who benefited from your fear. It may require you to stop explaining yourself. It may require you to receive more than you are accustomed to receiving. It may require you to rest without guilt. It may require you to be visible. It may require you to accept that your old identity was not your destiny. This is why change can feel uncomfortable, even when it is good. Part of you is leaving familiar territory. So when you decide that everything will work out, do not expect fear to disappear immediately. Fear may continue speaking. Let it speak, but do not give it authority. You can feel fear and still take one step. You can feel uncertain and still refuse to predict disaster. You can have a difficult day without declaring that your entire life is difficult. You can experience a delay without calling yourself forgotten. You can lose one path without believing you have lost your future. The decision is not that nothing painful will ever happen to you. The decision is that whatever happens, you will no longer use it as a reason to abandon yourself. Whatever happens, you will no longer use it as a reason to abandon yourself. This is stronger than positive thinking, because life will contain moments you cannot control. People will make choices you did not expect. Plans will change. Some doors will close. Some things will take longer than you hoped. The power is not in controlling every event. The power is in refusing to let every event control your identity. When you know you will remain with yourself, something in your body begins to soften. You no longer need every person to approve of you. You no longer need every outcome to be perfect. You no longer need complete certainty before moving. You become safer within your own presence. And from that safety, you begin seeing possibilities that panic could not see. Fear narrows perception. It makes you look for danger. It makes you repeat familiar solutions. It makes every unknown path appear threatening. Conviction expands perception, not because it makes you naive, because it allows you to look beyond the immediate threat. When you stop asking what will happen if everything goes wrong, you finally create space to ask what will happen if there is a way you have not seen yet. What if this ending is creating space? What if this delay is teaching you something necessary? What if one conversation changes the direction? What if the next step is smaller than you imagined? What if your life is not refusing you? What if it is waiting for you to participate differently? Your mind will always search for evidence. Give it a story of failure, and it will find proof. Tell yourself that people always leave, and you will notice every sign of distance while overlooking every sign of loyalty. Tell yourself that nothing works, and you will collect delays while ignoring movement. Tell yourself that you are unlucky, and every inconvenience will become evidence. But decide that your life is moving, and you begin noticing different things, not imaginary things. Real things fear had trained you to overlook. An invitation, a new idea, a useful conversation, a small improvement, a person who supports you, a mistake that reveals the exact change required, a moment of courage, an unexpected opening. The world may contain both obstacle and opportunity at the same time. Your internal state influences which one becomes the center of your attention. This does not mean ignoring problems. It means refusing to make the problem the entire reality. There may be a financial difficulty, but there may also be an idea. There may be loneliness, but there may also be a chance to rebuild your relationship with yourself. There may be rejection, but there may also be freedom from a situation that could never meet you fully. There may be uncertainty, but uncertainty is also the place where something new can enter. The old future was predictable because it was built from repetition. The new future feels uncertain because it has not been lived before. Do not confuse unfamiliarity with danger. You are now ready for the practice I promised you. You can do it tonight, after this video, or tomorrow morning before the noise of the day begins. Take a piece of paper. Do not perform this mechanically. Give yourself a few quiet minutes. First, write this sentence. The outcome I have been unconsciously preparing for is, then complete it honestly. Maybe you have been preparing for failure, for abandonment, for rejection, for financial difficulty, for disappointment, for your project to remain unseen, for life to continue exactly as it has been. Do not judge what appears. You are not confessing a weakness. You are revealing an invisible decision. Once it becomes visible, it loses some of its power. Now ask yourself how expecting this outcome has influenced your choices. Perhaps it made you postpone action. Perhaps it made you reject opportunities before they could reject you. Perhaps it made you accept less. Perhaps it made you remain silent. Perhaps it made you stop too early. Perhaps it made you interpret neutral events as proof of failure. Write what is true. Then complete this sentence. Even though I cannot see the entire path, I choose to believe that. Do not write something your body immediately rejects. You do not need to claim that tomorrow you will become a millionaire. Choose something strong but believable enough to become an internal direction. Even though you cannot see the entire path, you choose to believe that your situation can change. You choose to believe there are opportunities you have not recognized yet. You choose to believe this ending is not the end of your story. You choose to believe you are capable of learning what you need to learn. You choose to believe you can be loved without abandoning yourself. You choose to believe your life is moving even when the movement is not immediately visible. Read the sentence slowly. Notice the resistance. Notice the voice that wants to argue. You do not need to silence it. Simply remind it that it may be afraid, but it is no longer making the decision. Then ask yourself one final question. What is one small action you can take within the next 24 hours as the person who believes this can work out? Only one action. Send the message. Write the first page. Research the opportunity. Publish the work. Apply for the position. Organize your finances. Make the call. Take the walk. Remove yourself from the conversation that always leaves you diminished. Ask for help. Create the plan. Keep one promise to yourself. The action is not meant to complete the entire journey. It is meant to give your mind new evidence. The moment you take it, something becomes true. You are no longer only waiting. You are participating. For the next 7 days, collect small evidence. Do not look only for dramatic miracles. Look for movement. Write down the idea that appeared, the conversation that helped, the moment you responded differently, the opportunity you noticed, the small amount you earned, the boundary you maintained, the hour in which you felt peace, the promise you kept, the fear you felt but did not obey. These are your keys. Do not dismiss them because they are small. A key is small, but it opens something larger than itself. Your life may not change in one visible explosion. It may begin changing in quiet decisions no one else can see. The decision not to speak against yourself. The decision not to interpret every silence as rejection. The decision not to make one difficult month a prophecy. The decision to honor the small idea. The decision to take the next step without demanding the entire staircase. And one day, people may look at your life and say everything suddenly changed. They will not see these moments. They will not see the night you finally stopped predicting your own disappointment. They will not see the small evidence you chose to respect. They will not see the days when the outer world remained the same, but you refuse to return to the old identity. They will see the result. You will remember the decision. Perhaps that is what faith really is, even outside religion. Not certainty about every detail, not blindness to reality, but loyalty to a possibility before the visible world has fully confirmed it. Abraham's story endured because it reflects something deeply human. There are moments when the life you can see does not yet resemble the life you feel called to live. The question is not whether you will ever feel doubt. The question is whether doubt will become your identity. You do not need another dramatic sign tonight. Maybe you need a decision. Not the decision that everything will happen exactly as you planned. Something deeper. The decision that every circumstance can become part of your movement rather than proof against it. The decision that a closed door will not make you close your heart to every possibility. The decision that time will not convince you that you are too late. The decision that fear may visit, but it will no longer live at the center of your life. The decision that you will notice the small key when it appears, and the decision that you will use it. Take a breath. Think about the part of your life you have been watching with the most fear. Now imagine that this moment is not the final scene. Imagine that it is a passage, a rearrangement, a place between the identity you have known and the one you are beginning to embody. You do not need to know everything. You need to stop asking the old reality to tell you what the new one is allowed to become. Your life does not begin changing only when the evidence becomes undeniable. The evidence begins appearing when you stop dismissing every small sign of change. So when this video ends, do not immediately return to distraction. Sit with the 3 sentences. Reveal the future you have been expecting. Choose a new direction. Take one small action. And for the next 7 days, watch carefully, not anxiously, not desperately, with attention. You may begin noticing that your life has been speaking to you through ideas, openings, encounters, and small moments of courage. You may discover that you were never completely without a path. You were simply expecting the path to appear as a finished road. Sometimes it appears as one step. Take it. Then another will become visible. If you are making this decision today, write in the comments, "My life is moving in my favor." Do not write it to convince anyone. Write it as a mark in time, a reminder of the moment you stopped waiting for life to decide who you would become. Because perhaps everything begins working out, not when every obstacle disappears, but when you decide that no obstacle will ever again have the power to turn you against yourself. One mistake has destroyed your future. One rejection means you are not wanted, but you are looking at a leaf. Life is the forest. You cannot see the forest when fear has placed your entire attention on one small part of it. And perhaps this is the real reason letting go feels frightening. You do not yet trust that something else exists beyond what you are holding. You may know intellectually that there are other people, other jobs, other ideas, other possibilities, but emotionally the mind still says, "This is all there is." That sentence creates attachment. This is all there is. This person is all there is. This opportunity is all there is. This amount is all there is. This life is all there is. And if this is all there is, then of course you will hold on with fear. But what if your vision is incomplete? What if you are trying to save something that has already completed its purpose?